Okay, this is 1.3. Identify the segment bisector of segment RS. So number one, the segment bisector is line K. Yes, it bisects it at M. Okay, now RS, the distance to R, from R to S, would be 17 and 17, which is 34. Number two, the segment bisector is a ray MA. And again, the distance from R to S. If MS is 9, these little hash marks mean they're the same, so that's 18. Number 3, and the segment bisector here is just point M. And RS is going to be 22 and 22, which is 44. And number 4, the segment bisector is line MS. And RS again is 12 and 12, which is 24. Next, identify the segment bisector of XY. Number 7. Number 7, the segment bisector is ray MN. And then you're supposed to find XY. So the distance from X to Y. Well, that would be 3x plus 1, and segment addition is 8x minus 24. Add those together, and we get 11x minus 23. And that would be the answer. You don't know what x is, except you can figure it out because they're equal. So this would be the expression of the total. But xm is equal to my. So you can say 3x plus 1 is equal to 8x minus 24, and then you solve it and you can get x. But then you have to figure out what xy is. So add these together, and you get 1 equals 5x minus 24. We add 24, and you get 25 equals 5x, so x is equal to 5. That's not the answer. You have to plug it back in. If x is 5, then you get 15 plus 1 is 16, and that means my is 16. So the answer is 32. All right, let's get rid of that and do number 8. Sorry, this is acting weird. All right, number 8. So again, the segment bisector is line N, and XY is equal to something. We got to figure it. Oops, sorry. XY equals. So again, 5x plus 8 is equal to 9x plus 12. Subtract the 5x, and you get 8 equals 4x plus 12. Subtract the 12, and you get negative 4 equals 4x. Divide off the 4, and negative 1 is equal to x. So we plug that back in for x. So 3 times negative 1 is 3, negative 3, sorry, plus 1. Oops, I put it in the wrong spot. Got to put it in number 8. So 5 times negative 1 is negative 5, plus 8 is 3. And these hash marks mean they're the same. So x to y is going to be 6. Next slide. Construction. What I want you to do here is I want you to, on your paper for 9 through 12, just do one. Draw a straight line, and then you're going to do what we do in class here. You're going to make a construction of 2 arcs from both sides, and then you're going to connect those points, and then that's going to be labeled your midpoint. So instead of folding a paper, this is what I kind of want you to do. If you don't have the compass, then just remember how to do it for the test. Next. Okay, now we're ready to do midpoint. So let's go over midpoint again. Midpoint is when you add the x's together and divide by 2, you add your y's together, divide by 2, and that gives you a coordinate. So make sure you give me the answer as a coordinate. So on number 13, the x's are 3 and 7, and the y's are negative 5 and 9. Oops, plus. So 3 and 7 is 10. 10 divided by 2 is 5. Negative 5 plus 9 is 4. 4 divided by 2 is 2. So that's the midpoint on number 13. All right, so number 14 is the x's are -4 and 0, and the y's are 7 and -3. So -4 over 2 is -2, and 7 plus -3 is 4. 4 over 2 is 2. -2, +2. Number 15, the x's are -2 and 4, and the y's are 0 and 9. So -2 plus 4 is 2. 2 over 2 is 1. 0 plus 9 is 9. 9 halves. And that you should know that that's 4 and 1/2. So 1, 9 halves, that's 1 and 4 and 1/2. 16. The x's are -8 and -4. And the y's are -6 and 10. -8 and -4 is -12. -12 divided by 2 is -6. -6 and 10 is 4. 4 divided by 2 is 2. -6, 2. All right, number 17. The midpoint and one endpoint are given. Okay, so here's what you're looking at. X plus x over 2 and y plus y over 2. Those are going to equal your actual answers of your midpoint. The midpoint x value and the midpoint y value. All right, so what we're saying is this. The x plus x over 2 is equal to the midpoint of the x value. And the y plus y over 2 is equal to the midpoint of the y value. So all you do is fill in everything that just like what you normally do, except you don't know one of the endpoints. The other endpoint is given here. So we don't know one endpoint, but the other endpoint is 5. Those are your x values. And then you don't know the y value. So the y value here is -6. But you do know what they equal when they're done. It's the midpoint. The midpoint x value is 4, and the midpoint y value is 3. Here's how you do it. Multiply by the denominator on both equations. The 2's reduce out. X plus 5 is now equal to 8. Subtract 5. And now you have x is equal to 3. Same thing over here. The 2's reduce out. Y plus -6 is equal to 6. We add 6 to a -6. That goes away. Y is equal to 12. So our midpoint, or excuse me, our other endpoint is 3, 12. And that would be h, I guess, is the endpoint value. All right. Whoops, get that back here. All right, so number 18, let's do this. Same type of thing. So x plus the x value they gave is going to be equal to the x value of the midpoint. So let's go ahead and solve this, and then we'll do the y. 2's reduce. And then we add a +3 to both sides. X equals -1. All right. Now the y value, y plus the other endpoint, 7, divided by 2 is equal to the y midpoint. Multiply by 2. Y plus 7 is equal to 10. Subtract 7. Y is equal to 3. So G, the endpoint G, is at -1, 3. Number 19. 19. X plus -2 over 2 is equal to the x midpoint. Multiply by 2. And x plus -2 is equal to 16. And we add +2. X equals 18. The y value, y plus 9 is equal to, over 2 is equal to 0. Multiply by 2. 0 times 2 is 0. Y plus 9 is 0. Subtract 9. Y is equal to -9. So our endpoint G is going to be at 18, -9. Number 20. X plus the x value is equal to the x value midpoint. Multiply by 2. The 2's reduced there. The 2's reduced there. X plus -4 is equal to -13. We add a +4. X is equal to -9. Now do the y's. Y plus 1 over 2 is equal to the y value midpoint multiplied by 2. Y plus 1 is equal to negative 12. We subtract 1, y is equal to negative 13. So h, the endpoint h, is at negative 9, negative 13. Next page. Find the distance between the 2 points. Okay, so on 21, what you're looking for is if they have an x and a y that are the same values, same x's or the same y's. And on 21, they're not. So the only way to do this is to use the distance formula. Distance formula is x minus x squared plus y minus y squared. So the distance in the x's, 13 minus 7 squared plus 2 minus 10 squared. 13 minus 7 is 6, so we have 6 squared plus 2 minus 10 is negative 8. We have to square that. So 36 and 64 is 100. The square root of 100 is 10. All right, 22, same thing. Square root of the difference of your x's, negative 6 minus a negative 3 squared. And the differences of your y's, 5 minus 1 squared. So in the first part here, it's negative 6 minus a negative is change. So negative 6 plus 3 is negative 3, and 5 minus 1 is 4. So we have 9 plus 16. When you square a negative, it's a negative times a negative. Makes it positive. Square root of 25 is 5. All right, 23. Again, the x values subtracted, squared, plus the y values subtracted, squared. So negative 8 minus 1 is a negative 9. 0 minus 4 is negative 4. Negative 9 squared is positive 81. Negative 4 squared is positive 16. You get 97. And that is the answer. Okay, number 24. Negative 5 minus 2 squared plus 4 minus 6 squared. Don't forget your square root. Negative 5 minus 2 is negative 7. 4 minus 6 is negative 2. Negative 7 squared is 49. Negative 2 squared is 4. Don't forget your square root. It's 53. 25. And I did 25 actually in place of 23. So let's do 23 now. 3 minus 6 squared plus 7 minus 5 squared. So we get negative 3 squared plus 2 squared. That's 9 plus 4. Don't forget your square root. That's square root of 13. So 23 is the square root of 13. 25 is the square root of 97. And 24 is square root of 53. All right, let's get rid of that and go to number 26. 26. 7 minus a negative 2. And negative 1 minus 4. So change, that's 9. That's a negative 5. 81 plus 25, 106. Okay, 27 is 0 minus 6 and 1 minus 3.5. Take the square root. We have negative 6 squared. Squared. 1 minus 3.5. If you need your calculator, use it. So that'd be negative 2.5 squared. Negative 6 squared is 36. And negative 2.5 squared is going to be positive. I'm pretty sure that's 65. So let me check the calculator to make sure. Yes, it is 625. Except it's 2.5. So this would be 6.25. All right, so 36. 6.25 plus 36 is going to be 42.25. And since we have decimals, we can go ahead and use our decimals. Use the approximation symbol there. Take the square root, and you get 6.5 approximately. Actually, it comes out to be exact. All right, and then 28 is the square root of 13 minus 5.4 and 1.6 minus 3.7. All right, so now let's use our calculators. 13 minus 5.4 is going to be 7.6, and you got to square it. And 1.6 minus 3.7 is going to be negative 2.1, and you're going to square that, make it positive. So 7.6 squared is 57.76, and 2.1 squared is 4.41. Now add those together. 4.41 plus 57.76, and that's the square root of 62.17, which is approximately 7.88. All right, number 29. Let's do the problem first. Describe and correct the error in finding the distance between these 2 points. All right, so let's find the distance between them. 29. Let's do the correct thing first. So 6 minus 1 squared and 2 minus a negative 4 squared. 6 minus 1 is 5. Change. 2 plus 4 is 6. Don't forget your radical. 25 plus 36 is 50, 61. And that'd be the answer. All right, so what'd they do on 29? They forgot the radical. That's there because almost always that's what I'm counting wrong on a test. Number 30. They didn't forget the radical on number 30, so let's see what they did there. So they're doing the same problem, but now we got to figure out what they did. So they took 6 minus 2. I see that right there. It should be 6 minus 1. They took x minus y. And we have the correct answer here, square root of 61, so we don't need to do it. So what they do wrong, they had x minus y instead of x minus x. Next page. Let's see, the endpoints of 2 segments are given. Find the length of each segment. Tell whether the segments are congruent or not. And then you have to say which one's longer. So AB, there aren't any same numbers, so we got to find the distances here. So AB, the distance of AB, no mark above the AB, 0 minus a negative 3, plus 2 minus 8. Plus is 3 squared is 9, 2 minus 8 is negative 6, squared is positive 36. So this would be square root of 45. So this would reduce, we're not going to do it, it's the square root of 9 times the square root of 5, or 3 square root of 5. You need to always do this, but at this moment we just want to know which one's bigger, so we can leave it in radical form. CD, let's do the distance. CD is negative 2 minus 0. And 2 minus a negative 4. Negative 2 minus 0 is negative 2. Squared is positive 4. It's always positive. Change. That's 6. 36. The square root of 40. And yeah, we could break this down too. But you can see at this point that the bigger number is going to be the longer value. So they are not congruent. Okay, so AB is not congruent to CD. And AB is longer. And let's do 32. 32. Again, let's do these, let's see, EF. 1 minus 5 and 4 minus 1. So negative 4 squared is positive 16. Don't forget your radical. 4 minus 1 is 3. 3 squared is 9. So that's square root of 25 or 5. And let's do GH. Negative 3 minus 1. And 1 minus 6. So we get negative 3 minus 1 is negative 4 squared is positive 16. 1 minus 6 is negative 5. Negative 5 squared is positive 25. That is the square root of 41, which is bigger than the square root of 25. So, EF is not congruent to GH, and GH is longer. All right, moving on. All right, 2 wolves spotted deer in a field. The positions of the animals are shown. Which wolf is closer to the deer? So this is written in a coordinate grid here, so let's go ahead and figure out A is at coordinate 8, 16. The wolf, the deer, is at coordinate 48, 32. All right, and so let's go ahead and do that distance. 8 minus 48 squared plus 16 minus 32 squared. So that's negative 40 squared would be 1600. 16 minus 32 is 16, negative 16. We're going to square that. 16 squared is 256. So 1600 and 256 is 1856. All right, so leave that there. We don't need to simplify it. B is at 16.4. So do the exact same thing. You have 16 minus 48, and you have 4 minus 32. Take the square root. 16 minus 48 is 32. 32 squared is 1024. 4 minus 32 is 28. 28 squared, it's negative 28, but when you square it, it's positive, 784. Okay. So now we have, let's see here. I don't think I did that right. 1024 plus 784 is 1808. All right, so which one's further away? That would be wolf A. Doesn't look like it is, but according to our calculations, it's barely longer. So wolf A is further away than wolf B. And it says, which wolf is closer? Okay, so wolf B is closer. All right, let's do number 35. 35. A theater is 3 miles east. So here's how we do north, south, east, and west. We start at the origin and we count. 3 miles east and 1 mile north. All right, so the theater is at 3-1. And a museum is 4 miles west, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 3 miles north, south, 1, 2, 3. So the museum is at -4, -3. Estimate the distance between the theater and the museum. All right. Estimate means you should try to count. So think about this. We're going up 1, 2, 3, 4 units and over, so that's 4, and over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 units. So that distance has to be bigger than the longest side. So we could estimate and say it's 9 units away, but let's figure it out. -4 minus 3 squared. Estimate in this case means you're going to round your answer. -4 minus that 3, and then you have a y, -3 minus 1. Don't forget your radical. -7 squared is positive 49. -3 minus 1 is -4. -4 squared is positive 16. Take the square root. You get the square root of 65. And you use your calculator to figure that out. And you get, let's see, about 8. Just a little bit over 8. Because 8 times 8 is 64. Square root of 65 is 8.06. All right, number 36. Your school is 20 blocks east. So that's your x value, 20 blocks east. And 12 blocks south. South is -12. So that is your school of your home. The mall where you plan to go after school is 7 blocks west. That's negative. West is negative. And 10 blocks north. That's positive. 1 block is 0.1 miles. Estimate the distance in miles between your school. So what we do here, when we find the distance between these 2 points, they'll be in blocks, and we just multiply it by 0.1. Well, yeah, okay. 20 minus a -7. There's a little bit more to it than that, but this will be good enough. And -12 minus 10. So 20 plus 7 is 27. And negative 12 minus 10 is negative 22. So 27 squared is 729. Negative 22 squared is positive 484. So you add those two together, and you get 1213, except don't forget your radical. So take the square root of 1213. Oops, I keep putting in the wrong thing here. And that is 34.8. Now multiply that times 0.1, because it's 34.8 blocks. So times 0.1, and you get 3.48. Not too far. Okay, so one thing I wanted to mention is if one block is 0.1 mile, then that means really you're going to be going at diagonals. So you'd have to figure out using Pythagorean theorem what this is. But I don't think that's what they're wanting here. So if you just count this as 0.1 from wherever your 2 points are, you're going to get 3.48 miles. All right, let's go on to the next one, 37. Or 44. We're going to skip to 44. Find the perimeter. Perimeter is you add all the sides together. So 5, 10, 15, 20. 20 centimeters. That's number 44. 45. You have 3 and 3 and 10 and 10. So 3 and 3 is 6. 10 and 10 is 20. So that would be 26 feet in perimeter. All right, and 46, you have 3 plus 4 is 7 plus 5 is 12 meters. And 47, you have 5, 10, and these little hash marks here mean that's the same. So 13 and 13. So be careful of that. That's your height. So 5 plus 5 plus 13 plus 13. That's going to give you 10 and 26 is 36 yards. Now, those are all perimeters. We're supposed to find the area as well. The area of a rectangle is length times width. The area of a triangle is 1/2 base times height. Let's go from there. Number 44. The area is length times width, or 25 square centimeters. Number 45, the area is 3 times 10, or 30 square feet. And 46 is 1/2 the base. The base is anything that's attached to the 90 degrees. So 4, and the height is the other one, 3. So 1/2 of 12 is 6 square meters. And 47, it's a triangle 1/2 the base. The base is 10, so the height is 12. 1/2 of 120 is 60 square yards. All right, moving on. 48. Solve the inequality. A plus 18 is less than 7. So you're doing the same thing you've always done with equations, negative 11. And you're supposed to graph this. So you have 0, negative 11 is here. A is less than that, not equal to, so it's an open dot, shaded to the left. 49. Y minus 5 is greater than or equal to 8. So add 5. Y is greater than or equal to 13. So 0 is here, 13 is there. It's greater than or equal to, so equal to means you color it in. And it's greater than, so it's shaded to the right. And 50. Negative 3x greater than 24. We divide off a negative 3. Now, here's the key. If you're introducing into the equation, it doesn't matter if the 24 was negative or not. If I'm multiplying or dividing by negative 3, it's what I'm doing to the equation. That means your inequality has to change directions. So this would be x is less than negative 8. So 0, negative 8 is here. It's an open dot and shaded to the left. Everything less than negative 8. And 51, z over 4 is is less than or equal to 12. Multiply by 4, and z is less than or equal to 48. So again, number line, here's 0, there's 48. It's less than and equal to, so it's a closed dot shaded to the left. And the last page, 55. Factor it. So 3x squared minus 36x. So what can we factor out of both of these? 3 is, they're all divisible by 3, and they're all divisible by x. That's what factoring means, divide. So if I were to actually divide each of those by 3x, which is what you do when you factor, you get x to the first left in the first spot, 12 in the second spot. So my answer is 3x times x minus 12. 56. N squared plus 3n minus 70. So as long as this is a 1 here, all you have to do is put your variables there and give factors of 70. 1 and 70 that add up to a positive 3. 2 and 35. 3 doesn't work. 4 doesn't work. 5 goes into it 14 times. 6 doesn't work. Hey, 7 and 10. We can stop there because we can get 3 out of 7 and 10. It needs to be positive, so it's a positive 10 and a minus 7. All right, 57. 121p squared minus 100. So this is the difference of squares. A squared minus b squared is equal to a minus b, a plus b. These are two perfect squares. 11 squared is 121 and 10 squared is 100. So really what you have is 11p minus 10 and 11p plus 10. And the last, let's see, 58. 15y squared plus 4y minus 4. So I always like to use the middle numbers, so we're going to guess. So let's do 3y and 5y and 2 and 2. The middle factors of each, the beginning and the end. So is there any way I can get 4 out of 3 times 2 is 6 and 2 times 5 is 10? Yeah, 10 minus 6 is 4. So the 10 has to be positive and the 6 has to be negative. So you check the outsides and the inside to get these. And that would be correct because we get positive 4. All right, now let's go to number 59 to finish it. Oops, lost the whole thing. So 59. Name 2 pairs of opposite rays. 2 pairs. So the first pair is going to be TS and TR. And the second pair will be TP and TQ. And you're done.